personal Jesus. Someone to hear you.
We're having great discussions behind the scenes with Dr. Bob Bowman. And I know we got Reverend Ted Pike on about the hate crime bill. We'll have him on about 15 after, so let's just call and let him know that. The hate crime bill is important. We'll have him on for 45 minutes today, but I want to have as much time with Dr. Bob Bowman as possible here in studio. Okay, from your perspective, and then I want to spend some time on Star Wars, because that's certainly not dead. That's going on now, this global decapitation system, and a lot of what you told me privately, it wasn't classified. You said some of it had leaked out, so you could tell me about it, is now kind of coming out in the news. So I wanted to discuss this global decapitation system and what that means for these controllers. But the architecture of this global corporate state, from your decades of deep research and also working in some of the most secret black programs, although you were compartmentalized to a certain extent, but in your world travels and knowing a lot of world leaders, what is the architecture of the New World Order? What is the New World Order? What is its end game? Because from my research, it's eugenics and control and enslavement. And then looking at Obama, is he kind of the New World Order closer, or can we make him rebel against him, or will they destroy him if that happens? But I mean, let's just start with the architecture of the New World Order.
Well, I think the architecture of the New World Order is, of course, the Council of Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission, the Bilderbergers, the guys that came out of the old Cecil Rhodes organization,
the corporate, the corporate governing councils.
Yeah, but then there's the operating arm. Really, is the World Trade Organization, the IMF, and the World Bank, and with those, and of course, since it's under their thumb, the U.S. government and their enforcers are the U.S. military. And we talked before about the military and what happened in Nazi Germany and what's happening here. One thing that I've always said, and people mention, what about martial law? Are they going to do that? Are they going to round up all of us dissenters? And I said, who are they going to use? Because I don't think my buddies in the military will do it. I think they will encircle us and point their guns outward to protect us from Blackwater, or Z as they call it now. There's a terrorist organization if ever there was one.
That even sounds like a comic book name. I mean, if I was a Pulp Fiction author, Cobra or Z or Chaos. I mean, Z.
Yeah. I'm encouraged by the Oath Keepers. This is an organization that I've joined, and many in the military and law enforcement have joined. And it recognizes the fact that our oath of office in the military, in politics, in law enforcement, says that we will protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I mean, we don't promise to obey a president or a commander. We promise to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, which, by the way, includes a renegade president and vice president. And so the Oath Keepers have said, in line with our duty to protect the Constitution, we are going to protect Americans who are following the Constitution. We are going to refuse any order to disarm American citizens or arrest American citizens or incarcerate American citizens when those citizens are merely exercising their constitutional rights. And I'm encouraged by that.
Wow, that's great that you brought that up, because we actually sent cameras up to the big Oath Keepers event on Lexington Green, and there they all were, just hundreds and hundreds of people from around the country, and thousands on the internet at Oath Keepers saying, we're not going to go along with this, because it's always been said that tyranny, if it comes, will come to your door in a uniform.
Yeah.
And let's go back, though, to that power structure, because I inadvertently interrupted you, seconding what you were saying. We have at the top the Council on Foreign Relations and a few other big think tanks that kind of set the policy. Well, I mean, you've got the Robert, and I mean, I want your view, but This is my view. At the very top, you've got the big robber baron, royal families, the people that control the majority of the world's wealth. The monopoly capitalists, they'll fund fascists, they'll fund Soviets, they'll fund socialists, they'll fund whatever consolidates power. You've got them at the top. Then you've got the big think tanks, the CFR, kind of managing the 5,000 or 6,000 super class, as Rothkopf calls it in his book, bragging about their power, admitting they run the world. So that's kind of their big management team. And then they've got governmental and quasi-governmental structures and regional roundtables over the different sectors. And then the enforcers are the military, but because the military in the West won't carry out these tyrannical actions by and large, because of lessons from history, they're now trying to create special cadres of paramilitary local SWAT teams all being expanded with local liaison military offices and local CIA offices. So I see them attempting to build the cadres up to brigade strength in a regional system, and they say local community FEMA camps where you want to come, you get food and medicine there, and they're artificially imploding the economy by design to kind of force people into their arms to re-engineer the economy where everything is force-fed into this kind of corporate strip mining system of vertical integration. Comments on that?
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly a possibility. What I see is that essential to what they're doing is this whole thing of preventive war, wars of aggression, the building of their empire by using the militaries of the United States and Great Britain and Israel.
Don't the bad guys throughout history always, they're the ones that do a preemptive war?
Of course.
But I mean, in your own words, make that clear to the viewers out there.
Well, preemptive war is another word for war of aggression, and it's a war crime, according to the Nuremberg Principles, which the United States created and established at the end of World War II, and on the basis of which we hung Nazi war criminals who were just following orders. We have established that war of aggression is a war crime. That is something that Bush and Cheney and Rumsfeld should have been indicted for. And if it is continued much longer under the Obama administration, there are folks in the Obama administration that are putting themselves in danger of becoming war criminals. What I'm trying to do with the Oath Keepers is to expand the list of orders that they will disobey to include participating in any war of aggression.
Well, I mean, that's what George Washington said. We don't get in foreign entanglements. We don't go into foreign wars. We don't involve ourselves in anything unless we're being attacked. And then several presidents later, we then see Thomas Jefferson, when some of the Barbary pirates, when some of the Moors were attacking some of our ships, we sent Marines out to deal with it. But that's something completely different than going into Iraq and leveling the place.
Yeah, absolutely. And these wars of aggression are not only war crimes, they are unconstitutional, and they are treason against the United States of America. They are killing our young soldiers, our young men and women, using them as hired killers for the corporations. We've got to stop that. We have to say that according to the Constitution, we have got to have a military whose mission is to protect the American people and our borders. Period. Period. End of report. Not to protect the global financial interests of multinational corporations and banks, Bechtel, Halliburton, Exxon, Folgers, Chiquita Banana, you name it.
What about the imperial hubris of DynCorp and Halliburton in the news running white slavery trafficking, and then Rumsfeld is asked about it by Cynthia McKinney when she was in Congress, and he says, I'm not going to discuss it. They were in the penalty box. Now they're out of the penalty box. They got a fine. No one goes to jail, but if somebody kidnaps a child down the street from a playground, there's Amber Alerts and freakouts. I mean, the level of looting, the Goldman Sachs openly running the White House, the last two White Houses, openly engaging in cash payments to themselves with their former executives running the Treasury and running the Federal Reserve.
Yeah, and on that note, I've got to say, any corporation, any entity which is too big to fail is too big to exist. We used to have antitrust laws. We used to have anti-monopoly laws. It's time we did again.
Isn't that just a mind game to say too big to fail? Or, well, yeah, the president ordered torture and it is illegal, but he's the president. And then you just give in to the dictatorship. You give in to the tyranny. It's that seduction. And then finally you have a capitulation to evil. And it's just, oh, that's just the way it is. And then the sky's the limit.